We will call the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for May the 26th, 2020 at 9 a.m. in the historic courthouse to order. First order of business is a pledge of allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence. If you'd please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The second order of business on the county board agenda today is open forum. This is the point in the meeting when any citizen of Crow Wing County or anybody can come up and address the county board on anything that is not on the county board's agenda today. Is there any letters or is there anybody that's on the phone to speak at open forum?
I do have one person that is on the line.
You do? Okay. Okay, can that person hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just state your name and you don't have to state your address, but the town that you live in. And normally we go, I usually don't put a time limit on it. Some people can get said what they want to say in a minute or two. Some people it might take a couple more minutes, but we usually hold it to about 3 to 5 minutes. So go ahead,
Okay.
Sir.
My name is Nick Mossoff. I live over in Cuyuna. The reason I'm addressing the board today is I had some issues with social services lying on a summary to the court. And I've been trying to get the documentations from Don Ryan, and Don Ryan is refusing to give me the full file from social services. So I talked to other counties like Sherburne, Anoka, and Benton County, and they said I should have no problem having this file. So I asked you guys to put pressure on the county administrator to relieve these social workers from their duties for the actions that they took against me and my children. So I don't know what you guys can do about it, but yeah, that's what I ask.
Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else, Therese, or any letters, Tim, that needed to be read?
Just double checking, Mr. Chairman, but I had not gotten any.
Nothing? Anything from the county board members that their constituents want read? Okay, that takes care of open forum. Next is number 3 on the county board's agenda, review and approval of the May 12th regular county board meeting minutes and the May 19th special county board meeting minutes. We'll take them one at a time. Is there a motion to approve the regular county board meeting minutes for May the 12th, 2020?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Barrows, seconded by Commissioner Franzine. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. The next one is the special county board meeting minutes for May the 19th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Franzine,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brecken. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Review and approval of today's agenda. Any additions or corrections, Mr. Houle? There is none. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Franzine,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Barrows. All in favor of that motion say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes. Next is number 5 on the county board's agenda. It's the consent agenda. Before I ask for a motion, is there any questions by the county board of anything on any personnel actions? Any questions? Any questions? No questions. Chair would accept a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Franzine,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Barrows to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Number 6 on the county board agenda is Grandview penalty waiver request appeal. Mr. Hool.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, today we have an application for a waiver of the penalty on taxes that could be paid as late as July 15th by Grandview Lodge. You may recall that you had approved a program that would allow folks to have a waiver of their penalty for late payment if they were one of the businesses that were shut down by executive order of the governor, or if they were a non-escrowed homestead property where one of the primary wage earners had been laid off. A number of applications under that program were processed and approved. The last you took up was a list of 10 appeals from the denial of those decisions, and you did approve the appeals that were in front of you that day. You may recall you also, mention was also made that there were an additional 10 that were late filed appeals. You did not take those up. And so today you have Grandview that is requesting that you take up a late application for a penalty waiver. Gary, I think, has the specifics for you, but I wanted to just give you that background.
Just a quick question. Is it my understanding that resorters or resorts, if they're classified as that, May 15th is not the deadline for them to pay their property taxes? I believe it's the 31st of May. Am I correct or incorrect, or the 30th of May?
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay. So, okay, so is anybody going to do Commissioner Brecken or Gary going to do the presentation? Okay, thank you, Gary. Gary Griffin, Land Services Director.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Yes, so today before you with the abatement of penalty waiver, the total that would be, if you will, waived or allowed to be paid July 15th without penalty would be just under $75,000. I do believe that this is pretty much exactly how we treated, there's two other larger resorts that we have in our community, our county, which is Rutgers, Breezy Point. They both were granted approvals. This one was not. You'll hear from Mark here, I think, shortly on just, it could have been a couple of ships passing in the night potentially. But any questions for me on any numbers or?
Any questions for Gary Griffin? No. Are we going to hear a presentation from Mark Ronai, or?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Mark,
I'm here.
we
This
can't,
is Mark.
we can't see you right now,
you.
but you're up.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Thank you very much for hearing this. The situation that we're in is we on the 15th, or I'm sorry, on the 1st of March, I had 325 employees. On the 1st of April, I had 18. So a number of those were administrative people and accountants and people who kind of keep us in track of things for us. And while I did go to the appeal of some property tax in Nisswa, I missed the notification. I don't know how I missed it, but I missed the notification. I realize it looks like we're asking for special treatment, and I apologize for putting you in that position. The fact of the matter is we just did not see it, we did not understand it. And the situation, as it boils down now, has actually gotten a little more precarious with our assets here in Crow Wing County, in as much as our children's camp just closed, just received notification that they are closed for the year. So after 110 years of being in business as Camp Lincoln and Camp Lake Hubert, we are not going to be in business with our children's camps. Right now, we are doing, golf business, and we this last weekend we did about 20% of our normal other business other than golf, and our weekday business is gone. So we have about $35 million in assets currently with our conference centers and all our 8 restaurants and our children's camps that are producing zero revenue. Grandview, the Coat family's been in business for a long time, 70 years here, and we'll be in business for another 70 years. It's just, we're looking for this is a small amount of relief as we get our operations up and running again. We did have, like I said, last year at this particular moment, we probably had close to 400 employees. Right now, we're at about 125. We're trying to add about 50 employees a week coming on here to get ready for the business that will be here toward the end of June and early July. So it's we're big. We've been in business a long time. We have the wherewithal. This would just be a little bit of assistance to us that would be greatly appreciated. And thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mark. Anything else from you, Gary?
No, Chair.
Okay. Bill, like I've always said, this county board is a board of equals. We're all equal on this board. We all have the right to, which I like, that we don't have 3 that are saying, no, you can't put that on the agenda. This was your agenda item. Would you like to talk on your agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think that, we're definitely at unique times right now in regards to what's going on. We had a special board meeting where we wanted to let the governor know that we wanted to encourage the opening of our county and especially our bars and our restaurants to open so they could do that. Mark, I'd like to ask a question of you. What was your occupancy rate this weekend?
We had about, I think we're at about 32%, 33%, something like that.
Okay. And I'm hearing that a little bit from some of the other major resorts is that we definitely were not getting close to capacity for the activity that we're having. And I think that when you take not only Grandview and our other major resorts is that the number of employers, the employment that they provide for our area, and then the trickle down that has within the economy that we have. And so I think that they're, again, a major leader, and I think that they produce and benefit our county because they're also, I think a side note is the marketing dollars that our resorts put out there to bring people to our area. So along with that really supports the Lakes Country Cares program that we're also part of. So I just see this as being intermingled and interlocking between a lot of different activities within our community that we can do. And I would like to encourage the board to support Grandview in their request. Thank you.
So just to kind of reiterate what this is, it's a penalty waiver request. So instead of Grandview paying their property taxes, the first half of their property taxes on May the 30th, they would be allowed to pay it without penalty on July the 15th, correct?
A portion of the first half. So their total first half is $197,000. So we would allow $75,000 of that to not be paid until July 15th with no waiver or no penalty.
Okay. So their total property taxes is what?
For a year, about $400,000.
Okay. And
That's just on the resort.
okay. So just kind of go through that. So if it's 400, they'd have to pay 190 or 200,000.
May 30th.
Okay. So we're just saying that they can pay that on July 15th.
A portion of the 200,000. So only 75,000 of the 200,000 we would allow to be paid late.
A portion of the total amount due.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And how that worked, Mr. Chair, is we looked at any of the restaurants, they have a spa, they have water parks, anything that would have been closed by the governor or not allowed to open would have been on what we would call an approved list. Things like the golf course, they have a couple, one right there in Grandview proper now, would not have been approved, and so that's why some of it is approved, some of it wouldn't be. Like the little cabins that Grandview is mainly comprised of, none of them are on the list to be approved.
So in essence, you kind of went through and looked at what can be open and what can't be open, and
Correct.
you kind of came up with, or somebody came up with the 77,000 number, correct?
Yep, and we applied the same criteria that we did to Rutgers, the same criteria we did to Breezy Point. That's how we came up with the number.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I might just
Yep.
ask Gary a question.
Commissioner Barrows.
Thank you. Gary, were any of the 10 that we didn't address because of late applications at our last meeting resorts?
No. I can run through quick. There is 3 different hotels, a Bertha Boat Works, Pleasureland RV, Zeisers in Nisswa, Shepst on 6th, and then a couple of homesteaded properties that they were claiming unemployed, main wage earner.
Thank you.
And for example, Shep's on 6, they haven't been able to be open, so there's no income coming in whatsoever. I mean, that's all the bars and restaurants for the last 2 months. Okay, anything else? Is there a motion?
I would so move that we allow Grandview to waive their penalty for their taxes for the first half.
And the number would be, again, if you reiterate that number?
Sure.
70,
75,000 is going to be right there. Yeah.
oh, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hoag. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion does not prevail. Number 7.
Thank you.
Number 7, land services, tax forfeit lands discussion.
Well, good morning, Chair, and members of the board again. Today, I just wanted to present to you an option of potential lowering the appraised value on tax forfeited lands that potentially are on our over-the-counter for sale list that have been sitting on there for more than 3 years. The proposal would be to reduce those estimated market values by 25% to see if that would spur some more interest in the properties that have been on the list a little while. Currently, we have 555 total properties, or tracts, I should say, on the list, with about 400 of them been on that list for over 3 years. With our, if you will, spirit of trying to be a little aggressive and trying to, get some of these properties back on the tax rolls, I thought maybe appropriate to consider lowering some of them that have been sitting on the list for a little while.
And Gary, when you say that, I would assume, I mean, it'd be the same thing as if I had a house and I put it up for sale, and, well, Bill, you're a realtor, if it goes for 6 months or 3 months, you go, and there's no activity, you always recommend lowering it down, don't you, Bill?
Yes, you do.
Yes. So obviously, being that these parcels are not selling, they're either priced too high or there's a reason.
And if I can,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, we have about 7 million total in estimated market value. There's almost $2 million of special assessments. So in some cases, I think the special assessments inhibit it being sold, but not in all cases.
And Gary, that's not special assessments from us here at the county.
Correct. That is city special assessments.
Is there any way, and I see Deb is sitting here, and Deb has helped us with this in the past, is like Brainerd Oaks, I know we worked out a deal, to move those properties that were just sitting there idle and would have been sitting there idle for the next 20 years, being that there was assessments on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that we can work with our counterparts in the local cities to try to get those parcels sold?
Sure. Mr. Chair, we have a pretty good tax forfeited policy, and we work with our HRA partners. If they have a developer or some interest that they know that they can cure some blight or make some affordable housing, that you've seen it you've referred to Brainerd Oaks, Serene Pines, Delmar Estates are a great example of developments that had all great intentions of being developed. The Great Recession happened basically to those developments, and then they sat and sat. And it was the city that finally did go ahead and get rid of the special assessments. And today now there's probably, I don't know, probably pushing 40 houses sitting on those three developments. We are in, currently there's about over 100 parcels in Breezy that's being looked at for the same purpose. Nothing inked yet, of course, it's all preliminary. And I've heard that Baxter may be potentially looking at some stuff that's been forfeited down around the Forest View Middle School someday, potentially, but.
Gary, just another
There are
question
options.
on, for example, Breezy Point. I know there's a lot of parcels that are there in the city proper that are tax forfeit. So would that, if we could get those properties in the city of Breezy Point sold, would that increase their portion of, well, no, I guess it wouldn't. I'm saying their revenue that's coming in that they receive, that if those property taxes, if those parcels were sold?
Mr. Chair, how I like to kind of explain it is, you could put all these back on the tax roll all over, it doesn't increase revenue. What it does is it actually spreads out
Yeah.
how many people pay,
Yeah.
how much needs to be collected. But if you will, it spreads the burden, if you will, not only for the city, but for the county and the school district. So if levies have to go up, there's more people paying, so indirectly, it provides relief that way a little bit.
So it's good for the taxpayers as a whole for us to try to get rid of these parcels.
From a monetary standpoint, sure.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, it also has economic,
Brecken, yeah.
economic development in regards to building and employment.
So Gary, you're not asking for any official, you're just looking for discussion today, or which direction we want to go, or what are you asking for today?
Well, if I could, because I don't know if I got the RBA correct, I put it in there, and we're doing a lot of juggling, so I apologize. I would ask if the board would consider approval of anything that's over 3 years old on the over-the-counter list to approve a 25% reduction, and we'll take it to auction in July.
Mr. Chair?
Anybody want to make that motion?
Well, if I can ask a question. What about the assessments on these properties? I mean, we can drop the price, but,
Correct. Any of them with the special assessments, we can do nothing with those at this time. I would say, though, the majority of some of these, I would say over half, do not have specials.
Okay.
So we could see some higher activity on some of it, but, we'll see.
okay, because I do think we have to make an effort to move forward and work with these cities to see if they would work with us in regards to the assessments that are on those properties, so that we could really make them saleable. Because in some cases, we have a property over by, in Baxter, we'd like to sell for around $140,000, but there's $200,000 in assessments on it.
Oh, good Lord.
So if we, I guess I would be willing to make that motion that we allow them to do that, but also maybe that we work with the cities to where we can work with them in regards to negotiating the assessments that are also on the property, so that we can move as much tax forfeited property as possible.
Commissioner Brecken moves that any properties over 3 years have a or a valuation reduction of 25%. Is that correct, Gary?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Barrows. Any discussion? Everybody understand the motion? Any comments from the county administrator?
No, sir.
Okay, just to reiterate again, so I think this is a good place to start. So any any properties, these properties that you're holding that have been, excuse me, offered up for sale, meaning that people can come into Land Services and buy those over the counter today, we're going to do would you call it a market or a valuation reduction of 25%?
Valuation reduction.
Valuation, okay. Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Next is 7.2, Pine River One Watershed, One Plan, Adoption of Management Budget and Work Plan. Gary,
Mr. Chair, I'm going to see if Jake is out here. If not, I'll take it.
very good.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chair. I'm up. So what you have in front of you today is, again, the One Watershed, One Plan adoption of local water management plan, budget, and work plan. And so back on the 7th of January, you guys had already approved the larger plan. It was a 10-year plan to kind of focus on improving and protecting water quality and habitat in the Pine River watershed. And that was a collaboration between Cass, Crow Wing, a little bit of Aiken County in there. And so what this is just to now take it one step further, and this is a 2-year plan. The Soil and Water and the county, Cass and Crow Wing counties get $482,000. This will be for 2 years, and all of these have been vetted through their policy committee. There has been discussion in the past on, well, what if there's something in there that we don't like? Even though it's went through the policy committee, again, it's the county boards that have the final say on everything. Any questions for me on any of that, I guess?
Any questions on the Pine River One Watershed, One Plan, the management plan, budget, and work plan?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Brecken?
Within that, there's a required 10% match. How will we as a county match that?
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Brecken, our plan is that we'll get federal grant to do that. Currently, we are not planning on matching with any of our local county dollars at this time. We're optimistic. There's some good grant writing skills with our Soil and Water Conservation District, and they seem very confident that we can get that match funded through federal grants.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah,
if I might
Commissioner
ask Gary a
Barrows.
question. Gary, if that doesn't happen, does the Soil and Water have a backup plan?
Well, and that would be us, Mr. Chair. That would be Soil and Water and us for the backup plan. Currently, I don't believe we do, that I know of.
So Gary, would that, assuming a grant doesn't appear, and there's 3 counties that are impacted, Crow Wing being the largest at 47.3%, would they require each of the counties to put in a percent based on how much of the watershed is in their county?
I would believe that would be for the policy committee to decide. That would be one option they could do. They could do thirds. They could do, of course, percentage, which Aiken County would prefer that. They have very little of it. And there potentially could be other ways to do it as well. I'm sure there's numerous ways. It would just need to be further vetted. I would say that any time that local funds would need to be expended, we would be back here asking for that approval if it came to that.
In my calculations, Gary, I looked at 47.3% of the 10%, and that would be about $22,800 for information for the other board members here that we would have to pay if it was put out there for each county to put in that percentage that the watershed is in their county. So it could be more if they decided to use a different formula, but using that one, it would be about $23,000.
So does that mean we're on the hook? We're not on the hook for that.
We would be if they don't get the grant.
If you don't get a grant, we're on the hook for that?
Well, you're not, you don't have to be on the hook, Mr. Chair, you don't have to be on the hook. We could give the money back. So you get 482,000, you got to match 10% of that, you know, and then we'd be a portion of that 10%. Or you could say, you know what, we're not giving you any money, and we'll give you the whole $500,000 back if you wanted. But in some respects, it does seem like a pretty good investment. It seems like we're going to get a pretty good return on our money if it came to that. But we're hoping we can find creative ways to fund that match.
So then what would happen is then they would go around and identify projects that are having an effect on the Pine River watershed? Like it could be a parking lot that might be close, and there would be some money to help mitigate that water from running. Is that correct? Something along that line?
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, and there's already been numerous projects already identified, and they're prioritizing which ones. And you have numerous stormwater management practices, culverts, forestry, and chloride training already have been identified as some top priorities to help enhance and protect the waters and environment in the one watershed, or Pine River watershed area.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I might just
Commissioner Barrows?
thank you, clarify my position. I'm not talking against this. What I wanted the board to be aware of is that there's the potential for a financial impact. To Gary's point, to me, it is a good investment when you can, you know, if it's $23,000 and you get $78,000, whatever it is, that's a pretty good return on your investment. So I'm not talking against it. I just wanted some of the facts to be known to the board members.
Okay, any other comments from the county board? There is a request for board action in your county board agenda. It's the Pine River One Watershed Plan adoption of the management plan and work plan. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Commissioner Barrows makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hoag. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Gary. Administrative Services, which I'm assuming is Deb Erickson.
Mr. Chair, board members, we have a couple of items before you this morning, and I want to talk a little bit about it before we actually move into the action itself. You'll note the first two items are on sale and Sunday liquor license renewals and combination liquor license renewals. With the guidance that Governor Walz gave on Wednesday for restaurants to begin reopening as of June 1st, but only limited to outdoor seating, we wanted to make sure that we were providing some options for our establishments that we license here in Crow Wing County. As a reminder, these are restaurants that are in unorganized territory or in townships, not within city limits themselves. These items are ones that are within the townships or in unorganized territory. What we did was, working with the county attorney's office, we reviewed what the liquor license statutes talk about with regard to outdoor seating and patio establishments for liquor licenses, and we provided some opportunity for our establishments to look at how they could expand or create, if necessary, outdoor space that would still be covered by their license. So we provided guidance to our establishments to let them know that we are suggesting that we would allow all liquor license holders to temporarily extend their licensed premise outside as long as it is compact and contiguous. And this would include the expansion of current outside licensed premises areas that may already be in existence. Basically, as long as they are able to contain the area with some type of fencing, whether it be permanent or temporary, some type of barrier to contain that area, and also to provide us with a plan, including a sketch drawing of what their proposed expanded patio area would look like. We would allow for a temporary extension of their premises license until October 31st of 2020 to be reviewed at that point in time if necessary. Additionally, I am also coming before you this morning to ask you to consider providing some additional monetary relief to our liquor license holders. If you recall, a few weeks ago, we did reduce the 2020-2021 renewal fee based on the amount of time that they were not able to be operating from March through the end of the 2020 license cycle, which ends June 30th. I'm coming before you this morning to ask you to consider an additional refund of another 4 months' worth of fees for those establishments as part of their renewal. We have already collected liquor license renewal fees, those reduced fees from our establishments as part of their renewal paperwork process, but I'm asking your authorization to refund 50% of the fee that they paid. Essentially, that would provide additional relief to them through October 31st of 2020, which is where we are kind of landing with our guidance on their patio place as well. When we first talked about the reduced fees for the renewal period, we were anticipating that they were going to be able to be fully opened by the time the renewal license period of July 1st started. That may or may not be the case given the current guidance, so we're looking at ways that we could offer some additional relief for them. Essentially, what that would do is for our on-sale and Sunday license holders, we would refund $700 of the $1,400 that was paid for the renewal fee. And for our combination license holders, we would refund $815 of the $1,630 that was received. That would refund $17,365 to our liquor license holders and would reduce our county revenue by about $35,000 total for the licensing renewal period. So the first actions before you today is to approve the renewals of the establishments that we have received applications for. Just for your reference as well, we have received renewal applications for all of our licensed premises, except for 3, which we've been in contact with, who are waiting for board approval or getting their final paperwork in order. And we expect those to be renewed as well. So we are still seeing that everybody is intending to renew their licenses. We would ask that you approve the renewals as well as approve the refund of the fee of 50% of the fees that were paid.
So Deb, the first thing on the county board's agenda is 8.1. It's the 2020 on-sale or Sunday liquor license renewals. There's a request for board action. So are you saying in this motion we incorporate the license relief?
Yes,
I guess.
please. Mr. Chair, that is what we are asking for. So approving the renewal of 8.1 as well as approving a 50% refund of the fees that they have paid.
Is there a motion to that effect from the county? Commissioner Hoag?
A quick question, Deb. You know the first package that you put together with the 4-month, do we know what the cities, did all cities follow suit with that?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hoag, I did hear that the majority of the cities who offered relief, that was the action that they took as well. Many cities did follow through with that 4-month relief, or at least a portion of relief. I haven't heard from every city as to what they chose to do. I did hear from a couple of establishments within some of the cities that said that they had followed guidance that the county had done as well. We did also provide what my recommendation to you was going to be this morning. We also provided that to our municipalities throughout the county, letting them know what action was going to be requested of you this morning as well.
And what you're doing is fantastic. I support it 100%, but I'm just nervous that, again, if this portion of it, you know, some cities support it, others don't, that we're then creating quite a large disadvantage, if you will, for some. I don't know if this is something we could poll our cities prior to passing to see that we could get support or buy-in from all of them before we do this. I just throw that out to the rest of the board to see if that's an option. Again, we're talking a fairly significant amount of money towards liquor license, which in some cities are, as you know, in the thousands of dollars. Maybe to just consider that, but again, I applaud you for what you're doing. I think that's exactly what everybody should be doing, but it could be I'll just throw that out.
Deb Erickson.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hoag, we absolutely could. We could poll the cities to find out, what actions or what proposal they might be considering, or if they would be willing to consider. As I said, these fees have already been paid by the establishments. We're looking at a refund situation at this point in time. So we could certainly delay that part of the action if you wanted to get that information first. I also know that our establishments are hurting for revenue at this point in time, and part of the intention of the relief is to help with that revenue loss at this point also.
And I would point out the fact that we could ask, but Brainerd, Baxter, Breezy Point, Crosby, that's their decision.
Correct.
That's not up to us. We're trying to address the people that are under our jurisdiction. Mr. Hool.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I think it's reasonable to conclude that probably not all cities will follow suit. If they didn't follow suit the first time, I think it's reasonable to conclude they may not follow suit again. I did hear from the city of Brainerd after Deb sent out her email to them, and they were thinking along the same lines of doing the same thing. That's the only one I've heard of. Deb, do you have any more specific information about which ones did or did not follow suit in the first round of relief?
Mr. Chair, I believe that the city of Baxter also had some type of relief. I have heard that, I do not have the actual specific data as to how many of them actually did, and what I have heard was basically reported through the media. I didn't get any notification from any cities of any action that they took.
So where we're at right now is we're on point 8.1 on the county board's agenda, 2020 on sale and Sunday liquor license renewals. And Deb Erickson is asking that we refund a portion. Deb, what was it again, just so we have a clarification?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend that we refund $700 per license holder on the on sale on Sunday.
Is there a motion to that effect? Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Barros. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hoag. Further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Mr. Chair, the next item then for 8.2 is the combination on sale and off sale and Sunday license. I would recommend that we approve the renewals that are here and offer a $815 refund on the fees that have been paid.
And Deb, just expound on, so a combination liquor license is what?
Combination liquor license is essentially a restaurant that has the ability to serve on sale on Sunday, like our on sale license. They also have an off sale license, so they have a separate entrance, if you will. They can sell off sale there as well.
Okay. Okay, has the county, is there a second, or is there a motion on 8.2, the 2020 combination liquor license with what is it?
$815.
$815. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'd so move.
So moved by Commissioner Brecken.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hoag. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Mr. Chair,
8.3.
if the board would like, I am willing to send out a notification to all the local cities to let them know what action that you have approved this morning, just so that they are aware also of
That
what
would be
has
a
been
good
done.
idea.
The next item, 8.3, is the renewals of the off-sale liquor license renewals. I just wanted to point out, we're not targeting off-sale and not providing any relief, but off-sale has not been impacted by not being able to be open, which is why you haven't heard us talk about any liquor license fee relief for our off-sale establishments, because they have not been impacted by any closures at this point in time. So the request today is just to approve the renewals of the 2020 off-sale licenses.
And Deb, how much how much do we charge for their license?
Mr. Chair, I believe for an off-sale license, it is now, it used to be $250. It might be $500 now for an off-sale license.
Okay.
I think we had just recently increased that.
So I know Mr. Hool has talked about this before, that normally, when we have a fee on there, it's to cover our cost. But this is a different situation. This is, you've said it, sin tax. So we have the ability to kind of, a little bit. We do. In a way, so, all right. Because it certainly doesn't cost $500.
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve 8.3, the 2020 off-sale liquor license renewals?
So move.
So moved by Commissioner Barrows, seconded by Commissioner Franzine. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. 8.4.
Mr. Chair, the next item is the renewal of the 3.2% liquor license, which is essentially a beer license, a 3.2 beer license. And one point I'd like to make with regard to our 3.2 beer license is you see our list only has a few establishments on it this time. There isn't a whole lot of avenue for 3.2 beer anymore, and we're finding that it's probably not going to be a product that many people are going to offer in the future. With the advent of Sunday off-sale license, or Sunday off-sale sales in Minnesota, the need for the 3.2 licenses for establishments who used to carry that has gone down greatly. So there's no change or any recommendations to anything at this point in time. We just wanted to point out that you probably have noticed that this list has decreased over time, but we would recommend approval of the renewals.
Is there a motion to approve the 2020 3.2% malt liquor license renewals?
Also move.
So moved by Commissioner Brecken, seconded by Commissioner Hoag to approve the 3.2 malt liquor license renewals. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. 8.5.
8.5 is no action needed. 8.5 will actually remove, the agenda was put together prior to the county fair board choosing to cancel the county fair for this year. So there would be no action requested on that one.
And 8.6, then they,
Oh, that's 8.6? I'm looking at the wrong
that's
slide.
8.6.
I
yeah.
apologize. 8.5 is the new combination liquor license. 8.5 does need action.
Okay.
We received an application for a license for a new on-sale Sunday and off-sale, or a combination license. An application submitted by Dunmeyer's Inc., who would be doing business as Dunmeyer's Bar and Grill. This is in Oaklawn Township, the old Hassey's building. It was the Lone Star Bar and Grill, I think, most recently. This is an application for a new license to be effective as of July 1st.
Is there a motion on the 2020 new combination liquor license, 8.5?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hoag, seconded by Commissioner Franzine to
Mr.
approve.
Chair,
Yeah.
if I may, with regard to this as well, Mr. Dunmeyer did pay the full license fee at the time of his application as part of that, because he was not going to be opening prior to July 1st. What we would also recommend is that we reduce the fee amount by the 4 months that we are also reducing the other combination licenses
Okay.
through October 31st. So it would be refunding an additional $815 to him.
Would the maker of the motion be okay with that?
Yep.
Would the seconder be okay with that? Okay. We're going to incorporate that into that motion. All in favor of that, everybody understand that motion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Now 8.6.
Now, 8.6, we can bypass, as the county fair had submitted their application for their 3.2 beer license. However, with the cancellation of the county fair for this year, the license will not be needed.
So Deb, just a question on that. So they have requested that they don't want the license at all. What if there's any other events there? Do they, because remember, we used to give them a license and it was for all 50, it was for 52 weeks except for the week of the fair.
Mr. Chair, I believe that they have other agencies that come in to sell their beer for them during those other type of events. If I may be mistaken. But you're right, they actually did not request us to remove this. This was just our interpretation, given the no fair, that it would not be necessary. But if there are going to be other events there, it might be a good idea to still consider the action on this particular.
I think we should, I personally think we should, Bill, you're the liaison on there. I'm thinking that we should still keep this in effect, because I know that they used it for a couple of And they might not be having any events out there, but nobody's requested that we.
Mr. Chair, no, they have not. And perhaps what I could recommend is that if you do want to consider action on it, if you want to consider approving, we can be in contact with the Fair Association. If they determine they are not going to need to use it, we can always refund their fee at that point in time.
Let's do it that way. Is there a motion to approve that, subject to checking? Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair, one quick
Commissioner.
question. Would that also include this reduction we've been talking about?
Mr. Chair, the on-sale 3-2 beer license, they're not losing any revenue from the standpoint that they aren't open if they don't have the events, and the on-sale license fee is $75. So we're not recommending a reduction at this point.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that Oak Lawn Township has approved this already.
Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Okay. So this is just my recommendation that we do approve it, and if you do talk to the Fair Board and they decide that they don't want it, we can just refund that. Could we have that incorporated into the motion?
Yes.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'd so move.
Commissioner Brecken moves that we renew the Fair's 3.2 malt liquor license, subject to them wanting it. If they don't, we'll refund their $75. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Barrows. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And, Mr. Chair, the
Okay.
final
Sorry about
item
that.
before you today is not liquor license related. This one is elections related. We need to make the appointments to the canvas boards for the primary and general election. As a reminder, we need 2 commissioners who serve on the canvas board. The canvas board consists of 2 county commissioners, the district court administrator, the mayor of the largest city of the county, and myself. And the 2 commissioners who serve on the canvas board cannot be commissioners who are up for election this year. So we'd be looking for representatives from District 2, District 3, or District 4.
The chair would first of all, look for volunteers, and if there's no volunteers, then I'll just make the appointment. So any volunteers to serve on the canvassing board?
Mr. Chair, I would volunteer.
Okay, Commissioner Barrows,
Like meetings.
I will volunteer also.
and Commissioner Brecken, very good. Volunteer. So Deb, do we need a motion on that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, please. We would like a motion
Okay.
to appoint those 2 commissioners.
So is there a motion to appoint Commissioner Barrows and Commissioner Brecken to the canvassing board?
I'll make that motion.
Yes, Commissioner Franzine makes that motion. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Hoag. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes.
And, Mr. Chair, I misspoke. I do have one additional item.
Yes, is it 8.8?
8.8, yes, to schedule a public hearing. We have received a request, an application for Paradise Resort Bar and Grill to obtain an off-sale liquor license. They currently hold an on-sale on Sunday. They're also asking to have an off-sale license for their establishment as well. Anytime an off-sale establishment is being established, if you will, for the very first time, if an off-sale license has never been issued to an establishment before, it is required that we have a public hearing prior to the issuance of that particular license. So this morning, the action before you would be to set the public hearing for consideration of the off-sale license.
Deb, just a question on that. I know that, I'm just wondering if, and maybe Don can help if we need help on this, but I know when I represented Morrison County, for example, the Red Rooster, you could go into the Red Rooster and you could be at the bar, but down at the end of the bar, you could buy liquor there. There was not a separate entrance. Is that a county-by-county thing, or is it, okay. I'm just wondering if they have to have a separate entrance, or they can have to have a separate place. I guess I'm just,
Mr.
it's more out
Chair-
of curiosity, because I've always been under the impression that that's the way it was supposed to be, but I've seen
Right.
other places.
Mr. Chair, I believe that the requirement is that they have a way to close off the off-sale portion of their sales at a time that is after 10 o'clock, basically, or when those hours are not in
Sure.
case. They are not supposed to just sell you a bottle over the bar. It may be utilizing the same entrance into the establishment for both the on-sale and the Sunday, but the off-sale has to have a designated area where they're listing the stock that is available for purchase, the price of the stock that is available for purchase, and an ability to close that part off, if you will, during those hours.
Okay.
I don't believe that is a county-by-county specific situation. It's nothing that's in our county ordinance with regard to that. We always reference the state statutes as it applies to off-sale. Any off-sale establishment, if they do sell off-sale, has to have an inspection by the State Alcohol and Gambling Control Board, which are the ones who are ultimately responsible for issuing that final license approval.
Okay. Because if you've ever gone around, like, for example, the corner store, the Wild Rice Depot, the one up by 370, or BIR, actually the one just built on out by 18 and 25, there's separate
Separate
entrances to go in there, so.
And that
anyway,
is
I
a
was just
specific
curious.
thing, I think, with regard to a completely separate off-sale establishment from, like, the convenience store or some of the other things that are along with them. There's a little bit more flexibility, I think, within an on-sale / Sunday / off-sale establishment.
And then I'm assuming that we're required by state statute to have a public hearing on this?
Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Okay.
So we would recommend setting the public hearing for June 23rd at 9:05.
Is there a motion to set the public hearing for June the 23rd on the Paradise Resort location?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Franzine.
Second.
Commissioner Barrow seconds to set the public hearing. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. County Sheriff, anything from you today?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, good morning. Just a brief update. We made it through Memorial Day weekend. And if any of you were out and about, I'm certainly, I'm sure that you saw the increase that we saw with traffic. We have seen an uptick in a handful, I guess, which is for us is an uptick in the complaints coming in reference to violations of the governor's order. The two biggest ones we dealt with for volume-wise, both ended up being unfounded. And when I say unfounded, the complaint and what we actually found taking place were different ends of the spectrum. So, overall, I think our compliance is very well. Our volume continues to be high. And kind of a scary note, I guess we are seeing our jail numbers start to tick up. Right now we're about 20 higher than our lowest point, which was a couple weeks back. So, I've shared with all of you and my continued concern with our jail and our population and our personnel over there, but we're moving forward, and I guess we'll see what the upcoming weeks bring us. The call volumes are definitely going up, and I think a lot of people are starting to approach kind of the attitude of we're going back to summer. Mr. Chair, that's all I had, but I would certainly entertain any comments or questions.
A question for you, Sheriff, just about what you just talked about. You said you're seeing an uptick in the jail. Can you just tell me, kind of give what is it? I mean, is it burglary? Is it drugs? Or what is it?
It really a combination of everything. That our courts are also we're ending up with more of the warrants, which we were able to kind of keep out of our system. We're seeing an uptick there, and that's where I'd see our most dramatic increase has been with the warrant arrest. But we've still got crime going on, and when the volume rises, we all know we're at about 65 for a base population and 250, 300,000 peak, which I don't think we reached this weekend. I think the weather kind of helped us. But, the old saying, as the weather warms up, the skunks come out, and that holds true for us too.
So I guess I'd be safe to say that the criminals are not taking a hiatus. They're not sheltering at home. They're still actively out.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Business is good, unfortunately, and
Yeah.
we don't see a decrease yet.
Yeah, that's sad. Any
Yep.
questions from the county board? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
County Attorney, Mr. Ryan.
Morning, everyone. I don't have a real long report. I just wanted to share some positive information I've received. I've talked to a number of different business owners about particularly in the restaurant area, about opening up and, you know, can we open up early? What do you think of the governor's thing, just like everybody else has? And the only reason I bring that up is that the report in regards to their perspective on Crow Wing County, and the five of you and Mr. Hool was specifically mentioned as well, very positive. The people that have talked to me are very happy with the efforts that county government's trying to do in regards to helping them stay in business and get the economy reopened up. And we hear so much negative stuff. I just thought I'd come today and say that there's positive stuff out there too. And the campaign, Lakes Country Cares and all of that, is receiving a lot of positive input as well. And so kudos to Mr. Hool and the Chambers and all of you and all of the partners in that program, because I think it's going to make a big difference, and maybe we'll lead the state on a positive note. I can tell you I was on call all weekend, which means my cell phone hasn't left my pocket for 4 days. And we have seen an uptick in the number of warrants that have been picked up. And a couple of the people that we brought in on warrants actually have been given a chance not to come in on a warrant, and then still didn't do what they were supposed to do. And so eventually you just got to hold them accountable and put them into the jail. And so we still are trying to keep our numbers down and work through some new protocols in that fashion as well. And as of Monday, the courts are going to have a soft reopening. Most of it's going to be virtual appearances with not too much of an uptick in in-person appearances, and that probably in the middle of June toward the first part of July, we'll start seeing the in-person appearances pick up. We've made a number of social distancing and safety things into the Judicial Center, and that continues as well. So I just wanted to give you an update. And I can certainly answer any questions anybody may have as well.
Any questions for the county attorney?
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. I would just, appreciate that, Don. And I will say that I did, on Friday, I did have another meeting over at JJ's Bird's Nest where the county administrator and Commissioner Brecken came over there. I think it was about a week or 2 weeks ago or something like that. Anyway, I had another meeting with some more restaurant owners over there, and they feel good about Crow Wing County, that they feel like we're trying to have their back, but realizing that the state is the mothership, and this Attorney General, who's out of control as far as I'm concerned, and threatening a $150,000 lawsuit against this guy down in Albany, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. It goes back to what I say, elections have consequences, and you get what you vote in. So, County Administrator, your report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I sent you an update late on Friday, and so, of course, we were closed yesterday. We did not hold a senior management team meeting yesterday, but we will be holding it this afternoon. So I have nothing new to report to you today. I'm happy to answer any questions about the updates I sent you on Friday or anything else related to county government.
I, for one, just want to say thank you to you, because that update and the one before that was very lengthy that you sent on a Saturday, I really appreciate those. Good. They were not coming as quickly before, but they're certainly coming very extensive now, and I much appreciate it, because I feel like I know what's going on. I feel like when I'm talking to the people that I represent, I kind of know what's going on. So I very much appreciate that. Any questions from the county board to the county administrator? Let's see here. Any additional business from the county board? I do have just something that I want to report to you, and I kind of want to have your feedback. As you know, I'm serving as your appointee on the Airport Commission, and with all this money, federal money, which is our money, tax money, I'm sure you saw that there's an $18 million grant, I guess you could call it, something like that, going to the Brainerd Airport, which I guess I don't know why that is. I think Bemidji got like a little over $1 million. I think there's a lot of airports that are scratching their head going, gee, why did they get 18 million? So the way I understand it is we can apply the Airport Commission can apply for the next 4 years of operating expenses, which is close to $4 million. And as I'm sure the county board knows, I believe that 150, and you can help me with this, Tim, is there's $157,000 that's levied on the county's part because we're half owner in the airport that goes to help to pay for operations. The city of Brainerd levies, I think, about $152,000. So in total, it's a little over $300,000. So at our last airport commission meeting, and as people know me, that know me very well, know that I dislike taxes, period. So this is going to be kind of a surprising idea that I have, is it's been talked about that being that we're getting this federal money and we can pay for the next 4 years of expenses, and we really, in essence, don't need the levy dollars, the $157,000 that we collect here. I suggested this to the Airport Commission, and I want to know what your opinion is continuing to collect that money and using that money to build operations out at the airport that are revenue generating operations. For example, there is a need for more airport hangars out there, airport hangars that people pay rent for. And where I'm going with this is, let's say for the next 4 years, that would be like a little over $1 million, where we would invest that in our investment, and that is the people's investments. It's the county taxpayers of Crow Wing County that own that airport. That's their investment. So we'd be investing in whether it be hangars, whether it would be remodeling of the airport cafe, and maybe getting some increased revenue there. It could be a whole host of things where at the end, when we do not have this federal money to tap into anymore, and then all of a sudden we have to come back and say, hey, now I'm going to have to start levying money again. Maybe at that point we are more self-sufficient, so we get the airport to almost a point where the airport is paying for itself, and we actually don't need the taxpayers to pay for the operation. Does that make sense? Did I explain it very well?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I
Commissioner.
also stopped out there and spoke to Mr. Wright
Yes.
at the airport, and he said the same thing that you're saying. And so personally, after listening to him, I thought, you know, that is a great idea. I think that 4 years gives us an opportunity, gives the airport an opportunity to cover their expenses and not have to look for other revenue generating. I mean, they still will look for other revenue generating opportunities, but to your point, building more hangars, the DNR wants to build another building out there where the firefighter planes are. And so I think this is a great opportunity. And I know at one of our MICA meetings, it was brought up that we were getting so much money in Crow Wing County, which I expressed my dismay at the chair, saying that why does Brainerd get so much money, speaking about the airport. And so that kind of threw some fire retardant on that little remark, because I don't know why we got 18 million.
I don't know why either, Steve.
And that 18 million, according to Mr. Wright, we can tap into for 4 years. So it's not 18 million you're going to get in 2020. It's over the course of 4 years. But I think that your idea is a great idea. I think if we can get them to where they're generating enough revenue to be independent of these two levies, I think that's an excellent opportunity for us.
Because for the next 4 years, we could say, oh, well, we don't need to levy that money. But at the end of the 4 years, we're right back where we started from again. And it kind of reminds me of when Commissioner Franzine and I were on transit. And I think we raised it up, the rides. You and I agreed to raise the rides up so that covered the cost of, so we were not using levy dollars, we were covering the cost. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, that is correct, and over the course of time, we probably need to consider that again.
Yes, yes. Any other feedback about my idea? I mean, I don't want to, I want to go out there and represent you, but this was kind of my idea, and some out there think it's a good idea and some people don't necessarily think it's a good idea. I think they want to say, well, we don't need your levy dollars anymore. Well, that's just a temporary thing. So what I'm looking at is where we get the airport, where the airport is actually a self-sufficient operation where no levy dollars. And for the people that are listening, this is your asset. You own this airport, you know, so this is your, anything else? Bill?
Well, Mr. Chair, I think, you know, one is the airport's a major asset you
Yeah.
know, for us. And it would be, if there's the opportunity to grow it and have
Right.
more facility out there that, you know, benefits the county, that's really good. I guess, you know, on the other side, it would be interesting to say those that are, you know, in favor of eliminating the levy, why that would be. I mean, if there'd be a point there that I should hear, but if not, I could be very easily supportive of this idea.
Okay, I guess nothing else. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Barrows to adjourn. Seconded by Commissioner Franzine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned.
Can I second my own motion and move it fast?
No.
Just a thought, Jim. Well, sometimes they're slow to the draw.